As we get down to business with Cosmo Macero of O'Neill and Associates, joins us from our Beacon Hill studio every Thursday at this time. Cosmo, good to see you.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's talk about the Boston Taxi Drivers Association holding a rally at Uber's Boston headquarters this afternoon in order to compel city officials to get Uber to, fall in line here and be regulated, much like cab drivers are. What do you think? Have a case?
Yeah, well, if there becomes an issue, and I don't think we've seen a real issue with safety and Uber drivers, then I think maybe there's a case to be made. But really, this is about the service proposition that Uber offers. Not just the service you get from the drivers, but that app, the ability to really, wherever you are, order a car, it's like merging a private car service with a taxi service. It's bringing the dispatch right into your handheld and allowing you to order someone to come right and pick you up wherever you are in the city or other communities. And I think that service proposition really has cut into the taxi business here in Boston, and that's where the issue is. Uber has tried to bring in taxi services into that system. Some taxi companies are responding by trying to replicate that app, but really it's all about the competition that they've created.
Yeah, it is interesting, and of course I did a story on Uber earlier in the month and talked to some people who were former cab drivers who said, hey, I like it better at Uber where I am. That's where I'm going. But it feels like the cab industry needs to evolve, much like Uber has in the short period of time that it's been available to market.
The service enhancements really have caught on with people like myself and others who, you need a car, and in a city that probably doesn't have enough taxis, it's a real option.
All right, let's go on to data breaches. We always like talking about these, only because we have so many of them. Next one, eBay now, and it's 233 million people impacted. Now we're talking names, addresses, dates, birth, telephone numbers, email addresses, passwords, of course. I mean, shouldn't these companies, especially a company the size of eBay, have better protection against hackers? Yeah,
first we saw one of the big brick and mortar retailers, Target, be hit. Now eBay, the online retail, that's just about every eBay customer that there is impacted in some way. Not financial information, but those passwords, that personal data, not only does it impact your eBay account, it puts you at risk for having that stuff stolen and used elsewhere on your other accounts, because a lot of people use the same passwords across multiple accounts, puts a lot of people at risk. It's very clear this is the world we live in, but companies need to beef up their security, because there's absolutely major organizations, primarily based in Eastern Europe, that are hacking into these accounts and doing us financial harm.
They have to figure out a way to get around this and get this stopped, really. The Boston Globe, meantime, announced that it has agreed to sell the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, and this was something John Henry had noted he was going to get around to doing sooner or later. He did it yesterday. Florida group buys him. He wanted to keep it local, wanted a local buyer. In the end, they get the buyer from out of state. But what about the TNG, and are there layoffs in the offing?
Yeah, the Halifax group's going to buy it. There is some disappointment. It looks like there will be some job cuts. You had to predict that would probably happen in this environment. And the reality is, while there was a real desire for local ownership and a local buyer, ultimately the winning bid is going to be the winning bid, and you got to have a fiduciary responsibility and do the best you can. And I think that's what happened here. A stronger bid came in. Locally, people had priced the TNG somewhere around $7 million, a far cry, by the way, from what the New York Times company paid for it 14 years ago. But there were higher valuations out there in the marketplace, and a group in Florida willing to pay a higher valuation.
That's right. More to come potentially from John Henry. Is obviously he has the physical plant to the Boston Globe up for sale now as well, that land over on Morrissey Boulevard. Great to see you as always. Cosmo Macero of O'Neill and Associates with us on a Thursday. Have a great Memorial weekend.
All right, Mark, you too. Thanks.
You too.